I didn't feel fulfilled when you have the concert, when you have like piece of music, clapping, piece of music, clapping, and we all sit like we need to sit still and rather not to, be involved fully as a public. Musically speaking, about composers, when you see something, for example, from the Baroque style, from the Baroque period, when you have the German music, it's very rhythmical, very like structured, yes, and also a bit edgy in terms of like, for example, da 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 da, and the French music, the way you play it, it's like da 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 da. Women have this ability that many times are pushed back, that we trust the process, we trust the evolution, we trust that, for example, in ecology, that our movement, our action will give the fruit in certain time.
Welcome to the Theatre Art Life podcast. Today we're talking with Anna Cook. Anna is a Polish violinist based in Paris and has exceptional international experience in orchestral and chamber music. She's performed in more than 19 countries across the continents with the most prominent conductors and orchestras, including the European Union Youth Orchestra. With her string quartet, ReVerb Ensemble, Anna introduces new formats to the classical concerts as a walking gallery or musical sculpture or as an improvisation to an art installation. Apart from her musical profession, she's an award-winning poet, having her poems commissioned by composers and festivals. She is the author of the philosophical concept of URKLANG. Did I say that right? URKLANG?
Perfect.
Anna, welcome to the show.
Hello.
So lovely to meet you. I really, Julia Middleton speaks very, very highly of you. So that's how we came to find you.
Oh, so nice. Thank you. I'm enjoying.
Well, because I've been a big fan of the expedition, but also we do podcasts with people in the industry. So you fit that bill for us. So I want to start with you to tell us what drew you to become a violinist. Did you come from a musical family? How did this happen?
So I'm coming from musical family. All members of my family actually play violin. So,
oh, really?
Yes, and my father was my teacher for 12 years. We all stayed in the profession. I mean, we were educated and we are now professional violinists. So it was kind of, I don't remember the moment I started to play, to be honest. And everyone was asking so did you choose it or you were forced to it? I mean, I don't remember. It was so natural for me. And of course, there was a moment, it came rather late. I mean, when I started my studies, I asked myself, okay, is that my choice really? Or it was imposed by, family environment. And then I said, I can't live without it. And so it's totally my decision in the end.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And you started playing classical music in an orchestra? Was that your first sort of work job? Is that what you were employed to do from the gate?
Yeah.
Or did you have to freelance a little bit doing some other things?
Well, I love freedom. So I was combining different things. I mean, I was in the orchestra when I was a little, student, even in primary school. But I think to be fully involved in the orchestra and to feel satisfied, we have to know our own voice first. So I was rather postponing the moment I will work with the orchestra, as I really wanted to explore my own voice. To get my technique right, and also but to feel confident as an individual person to join the group, to not to hide behind, but to be really participant of the collective.
Yeah, interesting. And then you have the ReVerb Ensemble. So tell us how that evolved and became part of your life as well.
It started with the great need to break some standards that were like kind of not annoying, but I mean, I didn't feel fulfilled when you have the concert, when you have like piece of music, clapping, piece of music, clapping, and we all sit like we need to sit still and rather not to, be involved fully as a public. So I felt like I would love to have an ensemble that will break the fourth wall of, getting together public and artists, and also to have this kind of a one storyline, storytelling, which starts from very beginning of the concerts and ends at the end, or it stays with us forever. But, this kind of thing that we don't feel like a passive exposition, but rather fully engaging experience of music.
Wow. And so give us an example of those kind of projects for us. What do they look like?
One of the most exciting project I had was in my hometown when we were playing in the hall. It was the hall of the Jewish cemetery. So beautiful surrounding, very mysterious, and we were placed on the four angles of the space. So we were quite far from each other, and we played with the acoustic. I mean, we played with reverb. That was a really incredible thing. And we moved between the pieces. We didn't have pause for clapping, but there was sometimes the sound of the waves of the sea, or some voices speaking, and some guy who were introducing people to another piece. So we were like changing our positions during the concert within those sounds, which was extremely inspiring both for us and for the public.
Yeah. And was that like a composition that you did, or was it more freestyle? Like, how did you write how was the music come to be in that?
Some of the music was commissioned by us, and we asked composer Przemysław Scheller to compose the piece, which is the piece for the string quartet and the space that plays a crucial role in it. But also we combined some other pieces, one piece from Bach, one piece, several different epochs that had in its core the same vibe or the same value. So we didn't stick to one epoch or one style. We stick to the core because, for example, about love, we can speak in many different epochs, and it's more like a space than a timeline. So we use the space.
Yeah, I love the idea of doing, classical music in those kind of contexts is just so beautiful. And there's so much opportunity to expose people who are not, the people that go to see a symphony orchestra, to music like that. And do you have a favorite project that you've done with ReVerb? Is it that one?
One, yes. We played, actually I have two of them. One we played in the museum in Poland, in Warsaw, when we played the musical gallery. So we were at the end of the exposition. So we got a kind of a musical spirit to all passages. So we were also moving. I love this kind of movement when we grab the public with us, and we can use the space around us, because we are on the movement. So the music is on the movement. So everything is about it. And the second one was super exciting. It was in Japan last year, exactly last year, at the Biennale, when we were improvising to the art installation, becoming part of it, like a sculpture, musical sculpture. And we were like integral part of the thing that was steady, and us who are in the movement and getting perspective from the from the second to the second, you know, it was a changing thing. It's like a unique moment because you cannot replay the improvisation.
That's it, right? Right there. Once off. I love that. So you have in one of your bios, it says you have a big fascination in the power of language as a tool to discover meaning of self-identity and social awareness. Yeah. Is this fascination where your poetry comes from, and how is poetry part of your life? Because I understand you also do that.
Yes, actually, I need to say that poetry, I think it's a base for everything I do. The poetry, we can have poems, which is basically words, consisted of words. This is the material. But poetry is also the music. Poetry is also life. Poetry is everywhere, actually. And the way we perceive it and the way we change perspective, this is a poetry as well. That's what I do.
And you when did you start writing? Was it from when you were a child, or like how did that evolve?
I started quite early. I was maybe 7, 8. But those poems were like, I mean, you know, like children poetry.
You have to start somewhere. It's the best way to master it, right? Like get it out on a page. My daughter writes little things everywhere, so I encourage it. It's really cute.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's your own reflection to the world you're perceiving, so it's beautiful. And also, and after in high school, I started to send it to the competitions, and one of the member talked to me after that. He was very direct, you know, Polish style of communication. He said, like, you know, your poetry wasn't really good, but you know, I see the potential. So if you want, we can work on it. And I said, okay, why not? And we were working. He was giving me some examples of existing poetry, so I could analyze more technical thing, but also how to make the most of your, how to make the best from your style. Yeah, so we were working on it, and I remember the day I was showing him my poetry, and he said, "Okay, I think you're ready." I said, "Ready for what? I mean, I done my work. I mean, it's really your style. You can publish it. You can go with it." And so I was more encouraged to send it to other competitions to publish. I published in 2012 my first poetry book.
Yes.
And yeah, so that's the path I made.
And was that in multiple languages or just your native language?
Mostly my native language, Polish, but also I have translated some of them to other languages. Now I more work on, so when I write, mostly I write in Polish, and then I translate to as many languages as I can speak. So
which you can speak 5, I understand, right?
Yes, 5. Yeah. 4 on the level I can translate, and let's say to the literature level.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to translate as much as possible. Now my new language is the French one. So also I'm trying with the help of my husband. It's much more fluid. Yes. So
does the translation fit well when you translate it to other languages, or do you have to tweak it a little bit?
Oh, it's actually kind of different path. Really, it's a different poem.
I can imagine that.
So, because there is no such a thing like really faithful translation of poetry, because we really it's very important to get the own rhythm of language, rhythm, the melody, also the kind of, it's a musical side of the poetry, which I love. The thing how different languages explore our mentality in different, different countries. I can say that even musically speaking, about composers, when you see something, for example, from the Baroque style, from the Baroque period, when you have the German music, it's very rhythmical, very like structured, yes, and also a bit edgy in this in terms of like, for example, da 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 da, and the French music, the way you play it, it's like da 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 da. It's written the same, but the way it's like we speak the language.
And it's like, I never thought about that. That's really fascinating to think about the way that you might play that from place to place. Yeah, that's really, I mean, why wouldn't it be just like language? You know, it's, but I think that's such a, being somebody who can only like speak English and some rudimentary French, I think that like being able to think about a poem that you've written in multiple languages and then try and find the right cadence on each language. I mean, that sounds fun to me. Maybe that's me because I'm a nerd, but like
it's such a pleasure, really. It's fun and pleasure at the same time. Sometimes it's frustrating because, you need to actually, you love one phrase in this language and it sounds so great and you want to repeat it, and
it doesn't come across the same, right?
Okay, it belongs to this language. Now I need to switch to another kind of color.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to, leave it.
Yeah. Oh, well, you have to share with me some of your English translated ones so that I can.
Sure.
I would love to see them. I want to move on to the Women Emerging expedition, and you were part of this journey as one of the core 25 members, I understand, correct?
Yes.
And so tell me what that experience was, what it was. Just give a little bit example for people who don't know what that expedition was, and then what you learned from it.
And now a note from our sponsor. The Theatre Art Life podcast is proud to be sponsored by ClearCom. ClearCom is the leader in voice communications for theatre and the performing arts. Call your cues with the simplicity and elegance of ClearCom Intercom solutions. You can find them at clearcom.com. Go check them out.
So Women Emerging Expedition was 1 year of meetings with wonderful women all around the world, that they're leaders and experts in their fields. And we were meeting one time a month, so 12 meetings. And our our highest point of the whole expedition was our live meeting at Bellagio, at the Rockefeller Center.
Mm-hmm.
Which was incredible experience to meet at the end of, digital.
All of these meetings digitally, yeah. Wow.
Yes, and that was fascinating how much we lose with just online meetings. How many of body language, how much of the vibe of each person when we can experience only by sitting next to the person.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very fascinating moment to meet all those women live.
Mm-hmm.
We were discussing during this time, the main theme was if that's leadership I'm in, and how women can how we can encourage and find our own voice as a women in leadership. Because we all felt like we need to kind of adapt or resign for our identity to be perceived as a leader. I mean, men's style leader, let's say, in very general
terms,
explanation. Yeah, generally speaking. there are a lot of more things around, but there is some kind of standard. Once we were talking about the standard in classical music concerts, there are standards in every corner of our life. So this also a bit of the standard of the thing. So we were exploring how we can combine our identity, how we can develop ourselves without losing our identity, our core essence, values, to be also effective leaders. So it was very interesting to discover. From my perspective, it was a very personal journey, as it was exactly the moment I was exploring my own being as a woman and a leader. So at the same time I was doing therapy, and it was really the topic of it. So it was perfect timing to explore it with all other women, and especially women with experienced women, like. Because I didn't have a lot of friends, women friends, and I didn't have a lot of women more more experienced than I am. I mean, usually was my age or younger, and that was fascinating experience when I was introduced to the different stages of womanhood, and this intergenerational aspect of expedition was particularly important for me.
That's fascinating. And like, as a person in the arts, after that expedition, what's your thoughts about how you would play as a leader in the arts now? Has it shifted? Is there something that do you feel that it's more authentic? One thing that Julia said is, what you guys discovered was that there's like no one way. It's about finding your way to be a leader and what that looks like. So for you, what does that mean for you in this industry now? Is that a hard question? Probably is a hard question.
It's a very hard question. How would I explain it? I think in my profession, from the side of my profession, I don't feel like I would change a lot of things. I mean, maybe I will be more confident or more convinced that the things that I discover already in the orchestra, it's working and it's needed. That's what I discovered after the expedition. The things I learned are more personal, I think. I discovered, for example, that I wasn't patient enough before. And I was thinking, like, to be efficient, I need to push myself to be faster than I can, And once we were talking about investing our efforts to build something or construct something, it needs time. And I remember talking with my friends who were at the expedition, that women have this ability that many times are pushed back, that we trust the process, we trust the evolution, we trust that for example in ecology, that our movement, our action will give the fruit in certain time, and we need to just do it and to trust it. And for me it was extremely important, and also in this artistic side, I was also impatient, so I wanted to tear off the moments from the time, and everything has its time, I used to say, like, pauses are also the music. And thanks to these conversations at the at the expedition, I understood how important it is to incorporate this into life. It's difficult because it's easy to say, it's beautiful,
right?
But then when the pause arrives, and you need to struggle with uncertainty that sometimes you can't really control the outcome, or you need to wait for it.
Yes.
That's the difficult part.
It's true, isn't it? It sounds like an amazing journey and lots of learnings in there. I think it's funny because, like, one of the things that I think with a lot of artists, that because I've worked in the industry a long time, I see a lot of them are very in touch with what is their craft and their passion and that. And so some people in their lives are not so much in tune with that because they're not working in that realm. But then the arts people also sometimes don't have that realization that they are leaders, and they have a lot to give as well, you know what I mean, and a lot to learn in the leadership facet, I think, because I think I'm a big fan of art. I think arts is essential, and I think that there's a lot that the rest of the world can learn from the arts industry, because I just work with so many talented people all the time, right? So if I'm learning from these talented people all the time, like, you need to learn from these talented people, because it's amazing. It's a great industry, right?
Yeah, I mean, I used to say that artists are translators. If you want or not, you're a translator from the life that surrounds you to from abstraction to something which is concrete or systematized, or it's like music. We have the scores, we have the map, but also there's the territory, and all the time this shifting between structure and abstraction. It's a fascinating thing.
Oh, I just love it. Yeah, I love your musical analogies. I need more of those in my life. I like it. So, as we finish up, we always ask the same questions for our podcast guests. So can you tell us what your most favorite thing about your job or the industry is?
Favorite job? Favorite thing. I have a lot of them.
That's a good thing.
I can tell you the latest example. I played a concert 2 days ago with the incredibly talented musicians from my orchestra with which I play. The concert was incredible, and it didn't start. I mean, I felt all day like kind of cut off from my emotions. There are some days like you enter the stage, it's like, and you feel, okay, I know what to do. No emotional attachment. It happened. And then when I was together and I could feel this presence of each one of us, the presence of listening, presence of playing, seeing each other. It wasn't a thing like you repeat to reconstruct the thing. That was something like never happened at any of the rehearsals before. So you feel it, that it's just here and now. And you forget about the whole world around you and your mood you had at the beginning.
Yeah.
You let yourself flow into it. And like 1 hour is like nothing. It's like 1 minute. This is fascinating how we can, kind of an Einstein thing, like we can, skip the timeline thing and treat it as a space for enjoyment.
That I think that's the biggest indicator that you're doing what you're supposed to do when you get lost in that. I think,
Sure,
that's the state of flow. I think that's beautiful. And if you could change one thing about your job or the industry, what would that be?
I would like to see more musicians. I would like to see that more musicians are conscious about their own power in good sense. Because sometimes I see incredible artists who are diminishing their value in the world. What are they offering to the world? It's incredible, unique, and very, very important. And still, many of them, they resign from being engaged fully into their profession because they think it doesn't matter what they do. Like, they doesn't matter in the world. They don't feel their own value as an artist. That would I changed. But maybe it's a collective work from both sides, from musician side, from the government side, from the public side, to see our work not as only craft, but also as an art that is actually changing something into the world.
Essential.
Essential. Yeah. I mean, yes, that would I change. I think I would change that.
Amazing. I love that. And now tell us, in your network of musicians and people that you work with on ReVerb or whatever, who would you nominate to be a podcast guest that you can share with us?
I know one name.
Yes?
She's an incredible musician, baroque violinist and conductor, Martina Pastuszka. She's from Poland. And I'm fascinated by all what she's doing. And she has also very inspiring thoughts. Sometimes I don't agree, but it is still fascinating,
Yeah.
We don't need to agree, but if it's inspiring, it's working. So yeah, she's incredible.
Lovely. Well, I'd love to get her name and her contacts from you. We need more musicians on the podcast, so I'm very keen to follow this thread where it may go.
Sure.
Anna, thank you so much for spending your time with us today on the Theatre Art Life podcast. It's been such a joy to meet you, and best of luck for the next steps in your career.
Thank you so much for having me.
Theatre Art Life is a global media site for entertainment. Memberships start at only $38 per year. You can have unlimited access to our daily published articles, including entertainment news and the writings of active industry professionals, ensuring that you are always up to date on the global happenings in the world of entertainment. Become a part of the international entertainment community and join us now at www.theatreartlife.com.